Thunder rattled the castle walls, lightning flashed, illuminating a crumbling palace. Rain lashed down, a symphony of dread. The abandoned palace stood on a windswept cliff, a silhouette against the raging storm. This was the cursed palace of Eldoria. No one dared to enter. A lone figure, cloaked against the tempest, approached. This was Arian, a young historian obsessed with the palace's dark legend. He clutched an old journal, its pages filled with terrifying tales. A gust of wind tore at the journal, revealing a chilling sketch of an ornate throne, the throne of Eldoria. Arian shivered. Tonight he would face the curse himself. Legends whispered of a curse upon the throne, a curse that had lingered for centuries, shrouded in mystery and fear. It was said that no ruler survived a night upon it, their fates sealed the moment they sat on the ancient seat of power. Each succumbed to a gruesome, unseen fate, their screams echoing through the halls, only to be silenced forever. Their reigns cut short, their lives extinguished in the dead of night, leaving behind a legacy of terror and despair. The throne room became a tomb, a place where the living dared not tread, haunted by the spirits of the fallen. Arian stepped over the threshold, his heart pounding in his chest, each beat echoing in the oppressive silence. The air inside was heavy, stale, filled with the weight of countless untold stories and unspoken fears. Dust swirled in the faint moonlight, filtering through cracks in the ceiling, creating ghostly patterns that danced in the gloom. He raised his lantern, its flickering flame casting long, dancing shadows that seemed to come alive in the darkness. In the center of the room stood the throne, an imposing figure that seemed to watch him with unseen eyes. It was crafted of dark wood and silver, its surface intricately carved with scenes of battles and betrayals, each detail telling a story of its own. A sense of unease washed over Arian, a chill running down his spine as he felt the weight of the throne's dark history. An oppressive silence hung in the air, broken only by the howling wind outside, as if the very walls were whispering secrets of the past. Arian explored the palace, his footsteps echoing in the vast emptiness. He walked through grand halls, now decayed and draped in cobwebs. He peered into dusty chambers once filled with life and laughter. He felt a presence lurking in the shadows, watching him. He found a library, its shelves lined with ancient tomes. He brushed the dust off a leather-bound book and opened it. The pages spoke of King Alaric, the first ruler to be cursed by the throne. He read of the king's madness, his paranoia, his demise. Was it the curse or the weight of power that drove him to his doom? A cold draught made him turn. The library door stood ajar, swinging gently in the breeze. He was not alone. Behind a tapestry, frayed with age, Arian discovered a hidden passage. The tapestry, once vibrant with colours, now hung in tatters, barely concealing the secrets it guarded for centuries. It was narrow and damp, smelling of mildew and decay. The walls, slick with moisture, seemed to close in on him as he moved forward, each step echoing in the confined space. He hesitated, then pushed forward, his curiosity overriding his fear. The air grew colder, and the darkness seemed to deepen with every step he took. The passage led him deep into the bowels of the palace. He could feel the weight of the ancient stones above him, pressing down, as if the palace itself was aware of his intrusion. He emerged into a secret chamber. The air was thick with the scent of old stone and forgotten memories. A single torch flickered on the wall, casting a dim light on a stone sarcophagus in the centre. Shadows danced around the room, creating an eerie atmosphere. As Arian approached, the torch sputtered and died, plunging him into darkness. The sudden loss of light made his heart race, and he could hear his own breath, loud and ragged. A cold hand gripped his wrist, The touch was icy, sending a shiver down his spine, and he could feel the presence of something otherworldly. "Who dares disturb my slumber?" a voice rasped, echoing in the darkness. The voice was ancient, filled with a mix of anger and sorrow. Aryan spun around, his heart pounding. He could feel the weight of unseen eyes upon him, watching his every move. He saw a figure, translucent and shimmering, standing before him. The figure seemed to glow with an ethereal light, casting a ghostly glow in the dark chamber. It was the spirit of King Alaric, his eyes burning with a ghostly fire. The king's gaze was intense, filled with a mixture of rage and longing, as if he had been waiting for this moment for centuries. King Alaric's spectral form hovered, his voice a mournful whisper. The air around him was thick with sorrow and regret, a palpable sense of unfinished business lingering in the cold, dark room. He told Aryan of his betrayal, of the curse placed upon the throne by his own brother. The betrayal had not only cost him his life, but had also doomed his descendants to a fate of eternal torment. He spoke of a mark, a birthmark shaped like a crown that linked their lineage. This mark was not just a symbol, but a binding curse that tied the fate of the family to the throne. Aryan listened, his blood running cold. The weight of his ancestors' words pressed heavily on his shoulders, filling him with a sense of dread and responsibility. He looked down at his hand, his fingers trembling. The reality of the situation began to sink in, and he felt a chill run down his spine. There, on his palm, was the mark. The very mark that had been described in the old tales, the mark that signified his cursed heritage. He was a descendant of King Alaric, bound to the cursed throne. The realization hit him like a tidal wave, overwhelming and inescapable. The spirit of the king reached out, his touch icy cold. It was as if the very essence of the curse was being transferred through that chilling contact. "Break the curse!" he pleaded, his voice echoing in the chamber. The desperation in his tone was unmistakable, a cry for redemption that had been centuries in the making. "Free me from this torment." The words hung in the air, a haunting reminder of the unfinished business that had kept the king's spirit bound to this world. Aryan knew what he had to do. The path ahead was fraught with danger, but he was determined to end the curse that had plagued his family for generations. He would spend the night on the throne, face the curse head-on and break it once and for all. The fate of his lineage rested on his shoulders, and he was ready to confront it. He returned to the throne room. The storm raged outside, mirroring the turmoil within him. He climbed the steps, each one heavier than the last. He sat upon the throne of Eldoria, the cold metal sending a shiver down his spine. The room seemed to close in on him. Whispers filled the air, twisting into screams. He saw visions of past rulers, their faces contorted in agony as they succumbed to the curse. He felt a presence beside him, cold and menacing. Fear threatened to consume him, but Aryan clung to his purpose. He would not let fear control him. He would break the curse. He closed his eyes, focusing on the mark on his hand. He thought of King Alaric, of the injustice he suffered. He imagined the throne, the source of the curse, consumed by flames. He opened his eyes, determination hardening his gaze. Suddenly, the throne began to tremble. Cracks appeared on its surface, spreading like veins across its dark wood and silver. Flames erupted from the carvings, engulfing the throne in a fiery inferno. Aryan watched as the symbol of power and pain burned before him. The screams and whispers faded, replaced by a strange silence. The presence beside him vanished. Had he succeeded? The fire died down, leaving behind only ashes and the lingering smell of smoke. A sense of peace settled over Aryan. The curse was broken. He had freed King Alaric and all those who had suffered on the throne. He turned to leave, his heart lighter than it had been in days, but as he took a step, he felt a sharp pain in his hand. He looked down. The mark of the crown, once a faint image, was now a burning brand. It pulsed with an eerie light, radiating a cold heat. A wave of dizziness washed over him. He stumbled, his vision blurring. He reached out, grasping at the empty air, before collapsing to the ground. As his vision faded, he saw a figure standing over him, a man cloaked in shadows, his face obscured by a hood. He reached down, his hand extended. Aryan could see a mark on his palm, identical to his own. The man smiled, a chillingly familiar smile. "The curse, it lives on," the man whispered, his voice a raspy echo of King Alaric. Aryan's vision went black. He was trapped. The curse had not been broken. It had merely transformed, finding a new host, a new heir to the throne of Eldoria, and he, Aryan, was now bound to it.